question number 2. We have talked about the past. I still want to dig a little bit more on that one. So what made you interested in working with Neo? I can't share that story from my end. Talking about fashion, we all know that story. So the floor is yours.
Okay. So I have to be honest here. I met Ale when I was in Spain and when I had my first experience working in a university. I wasn't directly working with Ale. I had another responsible for me, but I met her there. So when I finished my MBA and I was looking for a job, of course, at that point, you get in contact with all the people you know. See if you find something that you might be interested in, and I get in contact with Ale, and she offered me a position and a project that it was really, really appealing for me for two main reasons. One, because the position and the project she was offering me, it was something completely different from what I had before. I used to work in big companies, and at this point I was having the possibility to have a lot of freedom on one side, but also a lot of responsibility on the other side, because I could personally start a project from scratch, and it was on my hands. It was me and Ale. So I was very excited, a bit scared as well, but it was a really big opportunity for me, and I was very grateful to have it. And on the other side, I know it will sound a bit cheesy and maybe too romantic, but it's the truth, and I have to say it. I don't know, but I really had, since the beginning, a lot of esteem for Ale, and somehow we always understood each other. I don't know how, but I think it's really, really important to work with someone that you feel that you can understand, that, and that person can understand you as well, that you're working on the same that you are on the same page, that you are searching and looking for the same goals. So I didn't want only to find I mean, I could also go and work in big teams and maybe corporation and companies that had an important name, but she was offering me something completely different, and right now I'm so happy that I made this choice. So
Yeah, Sole, I'm very touched by what you're saying. I would like to compliment on that, because I do remember the moment when you reached out almost two years ago, almost. And I remember Sole graduated, and she contacted me to see if I knew anything about a sports related job, because she graduated in sports management. But at that time, even though I didn't have any opportunities or any connections that I could suggest, my first thought was, okay, this is not what she's looking for, but there's the personal side, and I think for that it's very important. And I do remember back in the days, indeed, we were working at the same institution, not related. On a hierarchical position, but I remember a great feeling with Sole, in the sense that, and I think this is very important, when you start working with someone that is not your direct manager, or someone who is working in ricochets with other people in the middle, and you manage to never ever have an issue with that person, even though that person is new in the job, is not having the necessary background or knowledge of the industry, is afraid of doing mistakes, is not native in the language, X, Y, Z, other components, but is giving everything you possibly can to make it happen. That's what I saw in Sole. And I remember perfectly passing by the office where she was, and she had tons of papers, just like writing down what was to be done, very organized, structured, and she would never ever miss anything. She would not forget something. And I think that for me was amazing, because she was very structured, always with a big smile, always there, doing things the way it was, but also going the extra mile. And again, we didn't work together as such, but she made a great impression on me, even though we were not fully working together on a daily basis back then. So I think that's that forever. I'm grateful. So I'm the one saying that, because you could have perfectly gone and worked for a big four. But in reality, back in the days where I said, okay, Neo is my baby, but I'm willing to share it with you. Here it is. Just take care of it. But if you want a challenge, this is it. And I think that's what I wanted to compliment on this story with you. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Ale. Very romantic, I think.
Indeed.
I love that you're apologizing for being too romantic, and then Alejandra takes it up a level. It's like
I know.
Oh god, this is the kind of fun and banter we have internally. Okay, anyone else
I
wants to
think
share a romantic or
I
non-romantic story?
I think I have something similar with Sole, in the sense that I went into it not having any prior knowledge about the industry, the educational industry. I was still in college, in the university, when I got this job. So a little background: Alejandra is my cousin, and I was actually on a trip with my mom, and I kind of just like, when you're starting to getting to graduation, you kind of start stressing out, and you're like, what am I gonna do? What's gonna happen after? I don't have a plan. I don't know what I want. I don't know if I should keep studying, if I need to find a job. So it was kind of very uncertain for me. And I think we were in the pandemic, so it was a bit more stressful. I was kind of thinking, like, now it's kind of more added on stress, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to find a job. So I kind of just called her. We were catching up, talking on the phone. I was like, oh, I'm getting my degree. I can work with you now. And she was like, I'm actually looking for someone, so maybe. And we kind of just kept talking onto it. And I met Sole, because at first it was just them two. And I met Sole also, and it was just like a great match, I think. And I don't know, I think it was very meant to be, because I think that I've learned a lot about myself and about, the industry as well, but more about myself than anything. And both of them have been great guidances, I think, in the sense that I didn't know what I was doing. I was coming into this with my eyes closed, basically, and it was very, entry level. And I made that clear to them. I had no prior knowledge to it, but I don't know. I think they both like took that as like, okay, this is going to be great for all of us, And something that Ale said, if you don't have prior knowledge of, what you're doing, and you don't have experience, but you have passion and drive, I think that's very important. And not a lot of companies and not a lot of people think that way. So I think that was really important. And just the fact that they gave me the chance, even though I felt like it was something so big and I didn't know much, they gave me the chance, and I was like, okay, like, I'm going to take this, and it's going to be a learning experience for all of us, I think. And it's been great. I think I've learned a lot, and I'm also very grateful for that.
No, Valen, thank you so much for this story. And yeah, I do remember, and I was quite quite surprised back in the days when you were sharing. You were in your last semester of an online bachelor, and that also I appreciated a lot that you were so courageous to just undergo a whole bachelor online without the pandemic having started, right? You did that before, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was quite a thing. And I remember you were sharing also that you were doing an internship back in the days, and you were talking about Salesforce and Pardot, and I'm like, I wished I was back in my days of bachelors even knowing what a CRM was, and that was certainly not the case. But Valen was already doing an internship related to that, so I found that very nice, because it's true, you were at an entry level position, but you had some understanding of pieces and bits, and you were really craving to show that you were willing to learn. And I think that's a very important thing here. And when Sole and I were discussing like what should we do, should we take Valen on in this position, we're looking for someone to be there with us on a daily basis, supporting us with roles that were previously done by interns. And it just felt right to have someone full time with us rather than interns. And I remember at the beginning, I was very honest with you, and I said, okay, we have a role that you might want is for a specific client. We have a contract from this date to this date. You can come on board with this project. Should you do well, you'll continue with us. If not, I mean, I think it's something that we all have to take the risk about. And guess what? The project with the client finished, we renewed, and we also renewed with you. So I think that's a good story to tell here. So very happy to have you on board and to see you
Thank
growing
you.
on a daily basis, for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great.
In my case, my story is too romantic. A lot, I think.
We like cheesy, it's fine.
Because I met Ale, I don't know, maybe 3 years, 2 years, maybe. Because Ale is the daughter of my lasted boss. And I work with her father for 3 years, I think. And we work very hard to send a lot of students around the world. And in a very important moment of my life, I think I met Ali in a different way that I had been meeting her, because I actually took the decision to make my master in Spain. And I think the first thing I think is, okay, I am going to do this new challenge. But I actually didn't imagine that I want to do a new challenge more that is working in me, because I am going to say the truth. I wasn't prepared for this role, because for 5 or 6 years I were working in advice and guiding to a lot of students. But when I talked with Ale said to me, okay, I know that you are going to do your master and you are not going to work with my father anymore. And I want to know if you are available to do a new role that is a growth hacking. And I think, what? What is that? I think, okay, growth hacking. I only think that I did is Google what is growth hacking, because I don't know what it's going to be. And I said, Ale, okay, let me think about it. Let me read the profile, and maybe we will talk about this later. And when I was in a trip with my future husband, I think that, okay, I'm not very prepared for this job. I don't know where is growth hacking. I don't know. I think that I have very special skills and very special knowledge about so many things that works every day. But I think that I thought, sorry, that I never had been prepared for that. And I worked and I wrote to Ali and I said her, okay, this job is a lot for me. If you want that I can guiding you in another way to Neo, I can do that, but maybe I don't know. And we talk and she told me, I think that you have all that I need and all that Neo needs. And later I talked with Sole and I think, oh my God, what I am doing now. And I knew them and I feel that it's going to be my way. And later, when we spoke about the education or the education of the world, I think that through NEO, we can make a deep and true change of the forms that we know the traditional education through the consulting that we provide to different institutions. And I think that my role that actually is things, it's get the things better every day. I think that every day I am doing the things better for all our clients, customers, and all, I had never been doing that. If one person that was Ale told me, you can do it. You can every day wake up and think, okay, I have to do that. I don't know how to do that, but I can to search it. I can to ask it. I can to do a lot of things that I never had been thought that I can. But I think that that is the most important thing that we search or look in a job is to get a team that told you every day, Sole, Valen, to says me like, okay, you're amazing, you're doing great, you're doing a great job, because I think that is the most important thing in working at NEO. That is all day and every day. You have a lot of challenge, but you have to a team that is going to say all day, you can, and this is very, very, I don't know, romantic for me.
I need to say it in a very humble way. I never had a doubt about how you were capable of doing this. And I think this happens to many people, thinking that the name of the role or a challenge is too high, or I'm afraid of doing this, I don't know the industry, what if I fail, but this is different from what I've been doing all my life, all of this kind of questions. But for me it was very clear, because the difference I saw in you, Ashley, was that yes, you were working with my father's company for over 5 years, but I saw in you, the first thing I saw in you, I remember perfectly, was tenacity. That for me was incredible, because I remember being at an event that was repeated every year in February. It was an education fair, and the education fair was from 2 to 8 p.m. in Bogota at a certain day. And the clock was about to tick 8 p.m. and Ashley was still like closing conversations with parents, and wait, but we can see each other next week, and that kind of tenacity, but not in a commercial way, in a way of caring for students. What do you want to do? How can I help you? And it's exactly what you're saying. You were also learning a lot through their experiences. So that was the first thing I saw in you years ago, maybe even before we actually met as such. I had already been seeing you working in that sense. And then when we actually got to implement a project for a study union, which was which is the company of my dad, we were Sole was there as well in some of the trainings, and we were actually implementing HubSpot for them. And it was something very new, a CRM, a company that has been operating for 23 years with a lot of experience, but maybe that needed a technological lift in that sense through one of the best CRM in the industry. And we delivered the project, and without asking anything, Ashley internally, who had nothing to do with a technical role inside, she was part of the commercial team, and she became the HubSpot champion. She would create reports on her own. She would go and dig for information. If she didn't know, she would go and search. And that quest for knowledge, that quest for getting better, for understanding what's around me that can make my life easier. And I remember when she was contacting me sometimes, like, I need just to make this faster. How do I see the students I have? How do this? How do that? And those little questions for me were an immense pleasure of knowing she's the one for this role. She can do it. She doesn't know it, but she can do it. And I think that's where we are at today. And now you know it. So
yes, I know it. Thank you, Ali. Thank you so much.
I think
Mark?
a lot of these conversations that you guys are having are kind of reinforcing a lot of what drew me personally to Neo, because like all the stuff that we're talking about is I've been out in lots of different organizations, and this is not the norm. We talk about things like what is learnable, recognizing what is learnable and what is actually has been developed in a person, and being able to separate those two. Not every organization does that. In fact, very few do that. I've had one experience in my life where it very much echoes some of the things you guys are talking about, where I was working in a university and we had a person on, a third year student, who was kind of volunteering like an internship on the reception. And you could just, you could see the way that she dealt with so many things that were, standard tasks, but just, as you say, going the extra mile. You could see something in it. And there was a moment where it was a case of saying to her, look, you could do more with this, and it's exactly that moment where you just need somebody to say, you can. All the stuff, don't worry about all the names and things, like all that stuff's learnable. But the stuff that you take years to develop, which is the tenacity and the passion, the inquiry, I want to know more about this. That's the important thing. And now that person is now, she's only 21. She's running the academic operations of the business school, as the coordinator. She, you could see that in her. And that's a lot of what drives me towards Neo, is because it's not just kind of talking about that stuff. You actually do it, the stuff that, is really, really important in a working environment. And what drew me personally to Neo was, I've known for years, like I studied kind of, I did journalism alongside, I studied education, I studied various things. Journalism is something I studied, but I never really used it. I always knew I could write. People always told me, oh, you're a really good writer, but I could never become a content writer as such, because I can't pretend. I can't write for an organization that I don't align with, and adopt that persona and adopt that voice and kind of pretend that this is important to me. I just can't do it, But in Neo, it's like I don't even have to. There's almost no difference in what I write in terms of content for Neo to what I actually feel. In fact, there is no difference. There's zero lines. So I don't have to have like a persona of Mark at home and Mark at Neo. It's the same guy, and that is super important. And honestly, take it from somebody who's, a little bit older and has had a lot of different, been through a lot of companies and corporations and things. It's not normal. When you find something like this, value it, because it's an environment in which you feel you can be empowered. You can feel like you've got freedom to grow, and everyone's on the same page. Everyone's kind of knows what they want to do, and there's no politics and nonsense. It's just like, let's just enjoy what we do and get on with it, and share the experience. And that's what it feels like, and something I've always been looking for. So really happy to be part of a team with you guys.
Mark, that's amazing, and we're the lucky ones to have you as well with us. I think you make a great balance to the all ladies team as well. So that's awesome. And I think you're in what you're saying, that it's not common. I would really love to see more organizations also being guided at some point by that sixth sense, let's call it that way, of what kind of person that a collaborator can be, and bridging into one the professional and personal selves. I think that's really really important. And between the two of us, I only met you once, Mark. I remember, like, physically back in the days, and it was just for a coffee. So what's that, 20 minutes? But it was a great impression, and a great feeling of how ethical, first of all, you were. I think that's very important. How much you cared about what you were doing, and the passion that you could just express in those 20 minutes of a coffee. And guess what? A few years after, we're all here working together for almost a year now, and it's just amazing. I mean, it's you get surrounded by people that you can trust, first of all, but that you also have a little sense in your guts that this person just feels right, in terms of alignment with what Neo is. And for that, I think it was extremely important for me, Neo being my baby, if I can call it that way. You need to have people who care for your baby around, right? So I think this is a big major reason of why we're all here today. So big thanks for all of you in believing in this, first of all, and secondly in aligning so much with what we do on a daily basis.